Oi, you know what time it is? You're tuned in listening to Dry That Aussie Metal Guy. Make sure to hit that like and subscribe button so you don't miss any of his content when it drops. And remember, stay brutal, you mad dogs. Roof!
G'day, legends. How the bloody hell are you all going? It's Dry That Aussie Metal Guy here with Crank.com and with that metalstations.com. So tonight, wherever you are in the world, it was great pleasure that I'm having a chat with Augment. Some of you may remember Zach when I interviewed him just over a year ago with Dead Animal Assembly Plant. So it was great that I get to have a chat with Fernando and Zach of Omega and Alpha, as I should say, of Augment, Avgmnt, who are due to release their debut album Seqvences on 24th of April. Thank you very much for joining me, guys.
Yeah, of course. Thank you.
Thanks for having us. Great to see you again.
Yeah, man. Likewise, dude. How's things been, man, for you first?
It's been kind of up and down, to be honest. It's been really nice having Augment as a means to kind of take a break from Dead Animal and kind of explore a completely different concept, or Dead Animal was horror. This is, sci-fi and cyberpunk. And so it's nice to kind of deviate from that and, try different writing styles and work with Fernando on a more intense level and writing music together.
Yeah, Fernando, would you like to tell me how this all began for you?
Yeah, of course. Well, Zach and I met. We met because of my other project, Photona. He came to see us live, and it was great. We kind of started chatting and became kind of casual friends. And then an opportunity came up to mix the Dead Animal Assembly Plant album. Bring Out the Dead, right?
Yep. Yeah, that's it.
Yep.
It's been a while.
Yeah.
So I got to mix that album. So that's when we really started to hang out more together and work on music together. And then we started a couple other projects. Like I mixed the Mothmeister stuff that Zach did, and then we did a remix of God's Gonna Cut You Down. Yep. And so that's kind of where Augment really started, where we were like working together really well. And we were like, we should do this more. Let's start a new project, So, that's the story.
Yeah, it has got a really, really great sound. It does give you both the chance to explore different facets of the industrial kind of music scene. How would you describe the sound you're going for?
We're kind of doing like an amalgam of, we're both been pretty heavily influenced, especially for a while, but kind of ramped up the last few years of retro wave and synth wave, trap.
Yep.
And there's a certain raw intensity, and kind of a cold, stripped offness of that kind of music. And I think it lends itself really well to mixing with industrial or rock, to really kind of tell that narrative, that kind of dystopian narrative.
Yeah. Would you like to elaborate a little bit more on the themes and influences with this album as well, Fernando?
Yeah, I mean, we really wanted to explore, where our society is headed. It's all becoming kind of dystopian, and all these things that, Gibson, Huxley have written about and talked about, and even in our culture, right? We're starting to see more and more of that. And so we wanted to kind of take on that theme of, all right, well, what's going to happen in the near future as far as society goes? So we're exploring that, and kind of touching on themes such as, what does it mean to be a person or a human, right? Like one of the songs off the album, Human Skin, they want to become more real or more human. So the theme is of a serial killer or a killer android. So yeah, it's just really cool that we get to explore these kind of darker themes around, where our society's headed, and as AI gets more popular, and as we see with like ChatGPT and things like that, things are getting really interesting. So
yeah, it is really getting interesting with all that AI fucking technology all over the place, man. How do you feel about all that with the AI art and shit like that, dude? It's crazy. It started that, and it can just do so many different things now, music and
it's pretty contentious.
Yeah,
I see a lot of both sides of it.
Yeah.
Where people are like, oh, it's stealing from the artist because it's taking artists' art and restructuring it into something new, right? But I don't know. It's up to debate. It's up to you as an individual.
Exactly. When did you start working on? When did you you hit it off on the as you were saying originally? When were you like, okay, then let's fucking get in there and start getting a project together. Let's get really serious about this.
I would say that the impetus definitely was when we did the God's Gonna Cut You Down version that ended up on Bring Out the Dead.
Yeah.
We cranked that out so fast, and we had such a good time kind of seamlessly working on that we're like, oh, I think we just kind of talked about it, like, hey, we should work on a project, we should work on music. And then the next project immediately after that was the collaboration that Dead Animal did with Mothmeister, and Fernando mixed and mastered the whole thing, and it just worked so well. And luckily he is a partner in a recording studio in Portland called Primal Recording, so we had access to this amazing studio. Fernando's very affluent in the studio. He knows exactly, he knows what he's doing.
Yep. And
when we started kind of talking about the concepts and we just sat down and just started writing it really, the songs kind of came out pretty fast.
Yep.
Like Human Skin, for example, that we wrote that in like one session, or at least got the skeletal elements of it completely just on the fly. So we found that like the more we started digging into it and the more we started like creating this world, for me, Dead Animal was really fun to create that world, but with Augment, it's fun to create a sci-fi world.
Yeah, and storytelling and the story behind it as well, you know what I mean? And have this kind of Hexatropolis 2.0 people is what we're talking about as well. There is an actual story behind it all as well, and have that, express that through the music as well and through this art form.
That's right. Yeah, and one of the things I love about working with Zach is he's extremely creative. I'm definitely, I like to read the manuals and like things like that. So I think we complement each other really well in that sense where, he gets me outside of my comfort zone when it comes to creativity and exploring these themes and these ideas and creating these worlds, while allowing me to have input, right? So we bounce ideas off each other, and we've created this. And then vice versa. I think like my attention to detail kind of pushes Zach to, try different things that he normally wouldn't try, or like, have him, I don't know, approach something slightly differently. So it's a really great give and take dynamic that we have. And exploring these, like the city that he's building, the city, building the theme around that, and allowing us to explore the different facets of the city. Like that's cool. Like I think that's a really interesting way to approach it.
Yeah, when you were making this, did you kind of, Zach, have a rough idea of the story you wanted to tell through the music, or was this something that you just started creating the music and then you're like, this story would go really well with what I'm creating here?
They kind of started going side by side. Like even the name, it was something that we were just talking about the concept, and we tossed around different names, and then just Augment came in. And then Fernando was just like, hey, well, let's make it more, let's make it more futuristic, more cyber by shortening it, swapping out the U for a V, and created that more stylized concept. And as we wrote the songs, the universe started kind of taking shape. So then as the universe started being developed, then it started influencing songs. For example, the song Slumtropolis, which is kind of like a 3-part song, because it has 2 guest vocalists on it. And that really, there's a lot of themes there that we developed because of the city and this idea of the very rich sitting in their ivory towers, and the almost militaristic street sweepers, which go through and raise the slums and stuff like that. So it's it's we draw a lot of inspiration from, as Fernando mentioned, current times, but kind of embellishing on it.
Yeah, and just having fun telling those stories and bringing the music in with it. And that's a banging track, dude. I was going to ask about that one. Tell me a little bit more about that track, Slumtropolis. A couple of guest vocalists on there as well. One's pretty close to you, yeah?
Yeah, so
yeah, I know.
So we have our friend Jax on there, whom I've known for a long time. And we have my wife, also guitarist for Dead Animal,
yes,
Rebecca, aka Buzz. This is the first time she's ever recorded in a recording studio. And it's the first time ever really sitting down and having to work on her vocals and in that setting. So it was an interesting experience for
everyone.
It was
a banging track, man. You're gonna have to tell it. It came out really well, and just the variation of the vocal styles and everything. And when that came in, dude, it was a killer track, man. First time I heard it, I was like, oh yeah, this one's fucking tasty. I like this one, man. Nice. The whole album's really good, but that one just kind of sits really fucking well there, and having those guest vocalists in there just kind of, mixes it up a bit. And it came out really, really bloody well, man. Yeah,
and that's actually something I think we would both like to cultivate more. It's like we want to build a community around our music, right? Yeah. Where we're not just making music for ourselves, but we're inviting other people to join in, whether it's a feature or remix or something like that. So you'll hear more of that in the future, I'm sure. Yeah, the whole album was a really, really great album. It's already released, as you mentioned, the Human Skin track. Tell us a little bit about that one first.
So Human Skin was the second song we wrote together for Augment. The first one was Copy Waste. But Human Skin, funny enough, Human Skin was the one that just it came together so fast. And it was just one of those things that we just kind of felt it right away, even though it was like, hey, we're going to keep it simple. And this is something that Fernando taught me a lot. And this is something I learned, and that, for me with Dead Animal, I try to throw everything against the wall. And, some of it sticks, some of it doesn't, but it's all going to be there. And Fernando kind of helped me understand editing. Sometimes less is more. You need to let songs breathe. You need to let your vocals stand out more. And Human Skin was a really good test of how can we tell a story and make it interesting, but still keep it simple. I mean, it's a verse, chorus, verse song. So structurally, it's simple. But that was kind of like the intention was just like, let's not make it overly complicated. Let's make it something that's approachable, that people in some level can relate to, or at least vibe to and move to. And that's been an important cornerstone, I think, to our writing, is how can we make this more impactful by using less.
Oh yeah, you definitely feel that in this album as you were talking. It must be fun having this outlet to dive into as well, besides your other main project, to have this one to dive in, because it does feel like that less is more on this album, but it has a really great vibe and feel to it. I put it on the first time I listened to it, I was just totally immersed in it and had to go back and play it again, as I do most albums. And for when I'm listening to an album, the whole album experience is really important to me. I know a lot of people kind of forget about that and don't realize what a joy it is to dive into albums. But from that opening Horizon sequence, the opening of this, it kind of just builds this atmosphere through until the end of the album as well, and kind of keeps that as well.
Yep. Yeah, it was kind of the idea. We know we kind of live in a single based music listening situation right now, where people are looking for the next single, and people hit the shuffle button, build playlists and things like that. But we thought, why don't we make a short album, 8 songs total, and then, we'll release several singles off of it. I think we're releasing 3 we're announcing the 3rd single tomorrow.
Yeah.
But that way it's like, the people who love singles can get a piece of the singles. But then if you're an album listener who wants to take the journey, we have that too. So because that to us is important. When you put on the album and it flows, you know, you get lost for half an hour. Like
it is, and it's always. I've been a big musical explorer. I loved radio as a kid growing up. I'm showing my age, man. Where you'd put your metal station on, and you'd hear half the bands you wouldn't even fucking know, but you'd be blown away, and you'd have to go buy the album and listen to the whole album. And some tracks you'd be like, yep, okay, I didn't get that. And then you listen to the album a few more times, you go, fuck, okay, I get that one now. And this one's my favorite. And it is really a joy. And I know we've got Spotify up there, people, but you can go over to Bandcamp and buy the album as well. It really is. It's what do you got on there? $10, man. You get the album, listen to as many bloody times as you like. It's got some killer artwork on it as well, which I'll see if I can share that one for you all.
Oh, yeah.
Video watchers. There we go. A little picture.
Nice.
Cool.
Yeah, so this that's actually an Australian artist named Datura Hex. Yeah.
Aussie.
Yeah. And we're showing all the Aussie love because also the guy who did our logo, the font logo, he's also an Australian called 3Xpire.
Damn Skippy.
Yeah. So they killed it. They did such an amazing job.
Yeah.
And Datura Hex he's such a incredible artist. He recently did the artwork for that band Polyphia. And so his stuff is so intense, and so it was such a huge honor that he agreed to do the commission for the art, and he did such an incredible job. It's like and we kind of gave him this like loose concepts, and then he just went and rolled with it.
Yeah, no, it looks very, very well, and does kind of set that kind of theme and feel to the album as well. Tell us about the other single you brought out off of that one, Null.
So Null, oh man, Null was really fun. We felt, it's funny because we initially were going to have Human Skin be our first single, and even though that song may be more commercially approachable, Null we felt was more indicative of the concept of augment. If augment could be summed up in like one song, it'd be Null, because it's kind of frenetic, you know, it's very percussive heavy, but it also has kind of like the big kind of rock choruses with breakdowns, and it has the element of hip hop and rock and just with the whole concept of society breaking down. Like it's basically Null in the sense of zero and encoding language, how you have to code for null as an object. So we were just kind of being super nerdy, a little nerdy.
Yeah, a little nerdy. There are a bunch of little nerdy Easter eggs throughout.
Another cracker track I want to ask about is that Somatose one.
Yep.
Oh, that's in fact that's the next single. Sorry,
No, I was having to guess. It's got to be one of the Somatose or Hexatropolis. I think it's got to be one of them too, man. But Somatose is a ripping track, man.
Yeah, I really like the vibe on that one. It's very, it's a little different from the others, and I think it's a good contrast to the two very rock heavy ones. This one is just more synthy, more subdued, and the story it tells, which I'll let Zach get into it, is very cool. And I think that the music and the vocals in that work really well together. It's definitely one of my favorites off of the album.
Yeah, I wanted to just the concept is basically someone in a drug-induced coma, and they're basically slowly dying. But in their heads, they feel like, as their brain dies, they feel like they're floating through space. So they're kind of going through this 2001 light tunnel hallucinatory experience. So they, outside, kind of disassociate and see themselves, going through space, through black holes, through realities, while reality is their body's dying. So we just really want to go with like the verses being kind of claustrophobic and kind of that feeling of everything being really tight and close to, and then the choruses and the breakdowns being really open and dreamy, so you get this feeling of weightlessness.
Yeah, and I love the mashup of words. Somatose, it makes sense now having heard that explanation there, Zach. It's really cool, man.
Yeah,
thank you. Yeah, I just definitely, Brave New World was one of my favorite books. And the drug they're taking in is so much to just slip away and lose reality, and figured what better way than to slip into dreamy drug-induced coma while your body dies.
Yeah.
I think the worst way to go. Yeah.
So the album's due. What's the what are you going to do with this project? Is this just going to be a studio one? Or are you just looking to eventually get out and play some shows with this? What are your plans going forward?
Yeah, we're actually busy, very busy right now, working on our first show March 3rd at Coffin Club here in Portland, Oregon.
Oh shit, good on you.
So we're getting the lighting all synced up now. So we're hard at work at that. We're not lighting people, so big learning curve there to program the lights and have it all sync up with the music. Because again, we want to make it more of an experience than just a live show, and especially since it's just two of us. You don't have a whole band with a drummer and several people on stage all kind of catching your attention. So having all the lights, and we were talking about having eventually, projection background telling a story along with the music, so that's it's the an augment experience as opposed to just two people live behind synths, right? So we're slowly chipping away at that, and we have big dreams of what we want to achieve. So we'll slowly get there over time.
Yeah, and the next single, Somatose, will be coming out. Will be out by the time I publish this interview. Looking forward to that one. Best place people can get along and support you is obviously you can go stream it over on Spotify, but you can also pre-order the album over on Bandcamp. You got any other links you want to chuck in there, guys?
There's the Bandcamp. So there's the digital copy. There will be a physical copy too. We're gonna get that on a nice digipack fold out with a lyric booklet. I know physical media isn't exactly the future, but we're both.
I still love our physical media, man. I've got CDs all over the bloody place.
Yeah, exactly.
Tape cassettes, and that's the one
Vinyls.
thing with metal. Yeah, vinyls. That's the one thing with metalheads. We'll buy a whole heap of fucking shit, and it will sit there, and we'll give it to our grandkids, and they're going to suffer with it.
Yeah, exactly. So we still believe in physical media, but we also believe that giving someone a piece of art, not just like, oh, hey, here's a jewel disc or case that's just gonna crack. It's like, hey, here's something that we put some thought into, and so we'll have that. Next week we're actually gonna start filming our first music video for the song Pvre Black.
Nice. Oh, killer, dude. That's gonna be fun. That's killer track. Tell us about that one while we're talking about it.
Sure.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's a bittersweet track. It's a bittersweet track.
Yes. So when we saw that Cyberpunk 2077 was looking for music for their DLC, we were like, we got to get on that. Yeah. So we quickly wrote that song. We already had kind of the framework for it because that was a song idea I had that I had sent to Zach, and he was like, okay, that's a perfect starting point. So we really knocked it out in just a few sessions. So it came together really quickly, and we submitted, but we unfortunately did not get selected. But hey, it's going on the album now. I think it's a great first video for us. I think it's very catchy. Like, it just grabs you right away. So I think it'll be a very good, first video for us. So
definitely, and a sweet game too. I spent so many hours on that bloody game.
Yeah.
Killer game. Okay, guys, look, album does come out 21st of April. Omega and Alpha, Fernando and Zach, it has been an absolute pleasure to chat with you guys. It was great to catch up again, Zach. Everybody go out, chuck in some pre-orders. Does come out 21st of April. Augment, you want to type in Avgmnt. Seqvences is the album you want to chuck in a pre-order for. They've also got a couple of singles up there. So if you get the pre-order in, you'll get the first 3 singles already straight up. Thank you very much, guys. Do you have any last words, shout outs, thank yous, or anything else you'd like to add in as well?
No, thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure talking with you. Thank you for, and all your listeners. I think this is great.
Thank you.
I definitely want to give a special shout out to Nicky Howard, who mastered the album. He's based out of the UK, and he did an incredible job. Like, he understands dynamics, and I think that's such a huge part. Not to like nerd out too much, but you have people like mastering engineers that just kind of make things louder and kind of squished, and you lose a lot of dynamics. And yeah, he just really nails he just nailed it. And we're very appreciative that actually have an endpoint like that, and he delivers.
Yeah, he did. www.nickyhoward.co.uk as well is his site.
Yeah. And as a mix engineer, when you send your stuff out for mastering, you always have that fear that what you get back, is not going to be what you envisioned, right? But he just made my mixes sound so much better, and I appreciate him for that. So thank you, Nicky.
Yeah.
Awesome. And thank you, guys. It's been an absolute pleasure. Everybody go out, grab the Augment album. Does drop 21st of April. You want to put it in the stereos, crank it up really bloody loud. The neighbors are going to want to hear it as well.
I hope you have a lot of bass.
Guys.
Yeah.
Great bassy.
Heaps of bass, mate. That's the one. Cheers, guys. Much appreciated. Thank you very
Take
much.
care.
Oi, you're tuned in to Jai That Aussie Metal Guy, so make sure to hit that like and subscribe button so you don't miss any of his sick content. And remember, stay brutal, you legend.